Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us for today's webinar. Today's session is being recorded for your reference. We're anticipating the call will last no longer than 30 minutes. And if you have any questions during the call, feel free to ask them by typing a question in the question box at the bottom of your control panel. If you have questions that you don't feel comfortable asking online, feel free to give the office a call, and we'd be more than happy to help you out. Okay. And, we're not expecting everybody to be an expert on the system after this one call. The purpose is really to introduce you to the layout and the functionality. And with that, let's get started. So when you log into the screen, essentially what you'll see on the landing page here is the overview. On the left-hand side up here under all accounts, any account that Thrive Wealth Management is managing on your behalf will be linked there and included in the total, as to will be your employer retirement accounts or any other account that we're providing performance reporting on. So not only do you have the full account value here, but over here on the left-hand side, each account is broken out individually. Under the overview section, you can see that the accounts are also broke down by account. So here you can see the entire account value. And in this particular household, that's made up of two accounts, one an individual account and another a Roth IRA. The individual account makes up 95% of the entire invested portfolio, and the Roth IRA makes up about 4.15%. Okay? In line with your planning, if you think about the meetings that you have with us, we build financial plans to figure out really how much do you need in stocks, how much do you need in bonds, and how much do you need in cash. That story continues on into your client portal here by selecting asset category. So under overview, not only do you see how much money you have in each account or is invested in each account, but you also have the ability to say, okay, across every single account that I have, how much do I have in stocks? How much do I have in bonds? And then how much do I have in cash, which would be money market. All right, so that's for the entire household. If you ever wanted to see how much you have in an individual account, all you do is navigate over here to the left-hand side, click on the account, and you'll see that all the data loads here. Once those screens stop running in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll know that the data has refreshed, and you can start to see it change on the screen as well. So we'll just wait one more second here. And so you can see that once that loads, for this particular account, it's also following essentially the same allocation as the overall household. When looking at the overview section again, so you can look at it at the account level, the asset category level, and then also the asset class level. Because if you remember in our planning meetings, what we end up talking about is you build a plan to figure out how much do we need in stocks, bonds, and cash. And then from that standpoint, how do we then become diversified amongst stocks and amongst bonds, and cash is cash. But at any time, you can go ahead and click asset class and then see how well diversified your portfolio is, the market value of each of those particular asset classes or sub-asset classes, the percentage that makes up of your overall portfolio. And if you here on this screen wanted to see, okay, well, under municipal bonds, what bonds do I own? You just click this arrow here. Okay, so anywhere in the on the website where you see this little arrow, it usually means that there's more data beneath the subheading. So if you click here under municipal bond, you can see all the bonds and the holdings, at least in this example. Under large core, you can take a look and see all the holdings under large core as well. Okay, and again, you can also roll that up to the household level. So once you're on the overview screen, a couple other things that I'll point out. Based on the value that you plug into this box right here, you can take a look at what the account value was at any given time. So I think the market high this year was January 26th. So you can take a look January 26th, and if you hit this refresh button, you can see over here that the value changed. At least the date changed here, and then in the bottom left-hand corner, all of that activity and performance data is also loading. And you'll see that change. All of our contact information is listed on the front page as well, if you ever needed that. From a user profile standpoint, before we navigate off this page, I'll show you, you have the ability to go ahead and update your email address, your address, any phone numbers. And then from a security standpoint, you also have the ability to add what's called two-factor or multi-factor authentication. So when you log into the website, maybe from a different computer, not only will you have to enter your password, but you'll also be prompted to enter a code that you'll receive in a text. Okay, that way you ensure that only you are accessing the site. While we're on the topic of security, it's important to know that all of this data is essentially coming in from all of your investment providers. So for most of you, all of that is coming in from SEI Private Trust Company. And in addition to the firms that are managing your 401ks, it's a read-only site. So these are direct links to these other financial institutions. It's a way to gather all of the data and present it in one clear picture. If for some reason somebody was to gain access to this site, the worst case scenario would be they would see the accounts that you have. Okay, there's no way to affect any type of transactions. There's no account numbers listed and no social security numbers either. Okay, so moving off the overview page, the other thing that you can look at here, if we change this, say, to the end of December 2017, go ahead and refresh that. And we come over here and you can click on performance. So the other great thing about the website is once a day, it's updated with performance or position data from the providers. And from there, your performance information is calculated. So we have gotten a few questions over the last couple of weeks about, when is my account data updated? It happens after midnight, but before 6 a.m. So all of this data, if you can think about it, is coming from the investment provider. It's all being reconciled in this particular system and then posted to your account. So if you have a day like yesterday, when the market was down significant, you get home, you see that on the news, you're not going to be able to log into this site and see it right away. So if you log in the next day, you'll be able to go in and take a look. For more up-to-date information, you always have the custodial website, which usually updates after 8 o'clock. But the idea is that we have you coming here to this website. If you want to check, just check first thing in the morning of the following day. But at any point, again, you can take a look at performance, just like we did with the overview, by a couple different subsections. So you can look at it at the account level, right? So for all of the accounts that we have, you can look at it from an asset category level. That would be your stocks, bonds, and cash. And then what's being presented right here now is you can also take a look at it from an asset class level. Okay, so this just reverted back to the account level. You can see that this particular account through the course of 2017 was up 15.38%. The Roth IRA was up 18.96%. And then what you'll also have is over time, so you have year to date, 1 year, 3 year. As we start to continue to build a performance track record, all of your performance for as long as you have been a client of Thrive will start to be tracked. In this project that we underwent, if you were a client before March 16th of last year, we had to have a cutoff date. So all of your previous performance data is archived in another system. We have access to it, but you won't find it on this website. So essentially starting April 1st of 2016 going forward, if you join Thrive after April 1st, all of your data is up to date, and it shows exactly your investment experience since you've been here. And for those that were here prior to that date, that's the new start date from a performance reporting standpoint. If you have any questions on that, feel free to let me know or to call the office, and we can explain that in a bit more detail. But the idea with the whole website is just full transparency. So at any point, you can take a look at what you own, how it's performing, and I'll move on to the activity. Okay. So working across the top here, you had overview, performance. I'm going to skip over holdings for a moment, and then you can go over to activity. Activity always shows essentially from this start date, so from January 1st, 2017 to 12/31/2017, the beginning market value for this particular demo client was a little over $1 million. They contributed $41,991. And if you click on this link here, what you'll see is that's not only contributions that this particular client made or that you'll make when you log into your site, but it's also all the dividends and interest that are being reinvested. Okay, so it's your own cash contributions as well as dividends and interest. Any distributions will all be linked here. So money that you're taking out, fees that you're paying to Thrive Wealth will all be listed in distributions. And then you can also look at the market value increase or decrease, depending on where the account is. And that will allow you to end up here with your ending market value. Okay, and again, you can always change the dates here and here to any time period. So if you said, oh, geez, let's see how my account did over the last week, you could go here and change that to, say, February 1st to yesterday, and you can actually click this here. And then you'll notice that all the data, when it's being calculated, shows up over here. So on this particular account, in that 1 week, the account's down $72,000. If you wanted to look at it from a performance standpoint, you could do the same thing here. You just hit the refresh button. And so when you change the to and from date, it'll carry across all of these sections up here, the overview, the performance, the holdings. So year to date, that account would be down 3.21%, but in the last week, it was down 5.74. And you could say, oh, wow, what was really driving that performance? You can go ahead and click that button there, and it shows you all of the holdings within the account. So just to put that in perspective, this iShares Russell 1000 index, that's representative of the U.S. large company space. So the 1,000 largest companies in the United States are included in this. It's also, you could equate that to the S&P 500. So from February 1st to February 8th, as of yesterday, it was down about 8.5%. Okay. So moving on from account-specific data, some other functionality that is embedded in the portal. You have documents right here. So if you were to click on documents, many of you use the vault that we have set up extensively. Instead of now navigating to the ShareFile website or the separate vault website, you have the ability to link that account right here. So the idea is you're able to go to one portal for essentially all of your financial needs. If you click on cloud storage, okay, we use a company called ShareFile. That's who your vault is through. So all you would do is go ahead, click connect, and then type in your username and password for the ShareFile website. And what will happen is it'll pull in your entire vault, and all of those details will be listed right here. Other things that will be posted here is we're in the process of setting up quarterly statements, performance statements that'll post directly right here to the site. So you would go to statements there. Under reports, and this will just take a second to load. There's a couple canned reports here as well. If you ever thought, geez, I wonder how much my account actually generates in dividends and interest, you have the ability to run an estimated income report, and you can either do that for the entire household or you can choose a specific account. So for this one, let's just choose the individual account, and you can say, all right, as of today, let's go ahead and generate that in a PDF. And you can see down here in the bottom left corner that it is generating the report. It's downloading, and all you can do is pull that up, and I'll zoom in on that as well. Okay, so you can see here are a couple different data points. The asset name, how many shares you own, the current price as of yesterday, the market value of that particular position, the percentage of your entire portfolio that stock or bond or mutual fund makes up, and then the annual income rate, okay? And then when you take that and multiply it by the number of shares, you can see that that'll generate $145.70 of income per year. And when you look at the current yield, that would be a 2.11% yield. So if you go through here, you can see what would be some of your high yielding versus some of your lower yielding holdings. And if you go all the way to the bottom of the report, it'll actually tally what you can expect to receive in income. And again, you can change the date. So you can do it for the entire year. You could do it for the next quarter, for the next month, and see what's scheduled to pay out. On this particular portfolio, you would expect to receive about $28,000 of income for a yield of 2.48%. There's also a portfolio positioning report. If you just said, hey, what was in my account on this specific date and how much did I own, you can run it there. And very similar to that, then would just be a portfolio evaluation report. So instead of showing all of the underlying individual holdings, it wraps everything up into one report that says you had $1 million in your account on this date. Okay. So under documents, we've covered statements, cloud storage, and reports. I'm going to skip over tools for a second here. Another area that would be of interest to you would be the update section. So as we start to develop more commentary and video commentary, all of that will be posted right here to the website. And then also all of the blogs that you're receiving and the videos are also linked. So if you ever wanted to go back through our archives and look for a specific topic, they'll all be listed right here. Okay. Another feature of the website is the ability to take a look at your financial plan. So, when you come in, we're building plans. Plans lead us to determine how your portfolio should be invested, allocated across stocks, bonds, and cash. And the other thing that we also think is very important is not only once a year being able to take a look at, well, what is my score? Especially given the market volatility we've experienced in the last week or so, does that really affect what I'm trying to do long term? Right. So the plan that we worked on with you, the most recent one, will actually link right here. So every day, all of your account values are being updated. That's fed to our planning software. The planning software is updated and then fed right back into your end client portal. So you can see that for this particular client, based on their retirement ages that's still listed here, their goals, which is found under this section, how much they're saving, how they're invested, when they expect to take Social Security, and the value of their accounts, they are still on track. Okay. Any insurance policies that we have listed for you can also be found here under insurance. And then there's also a net worth page here as well. This would be the net worth statement that we have directly pulled and used in your most recent financial plan. Okay. So some of this data might be static if we're not updating the value of your home all the time, or maybe a real estate investment. But you would get a general sense to say, hey, I wonder what we were using as my total net worth, or how much did I have in assets and liabilities on my last plan. That'll be found here as well. For a more dynamic way to look at what you're worth, or to develop a personal financial statement on demand, you can do that here under the Tools section. So within Tools, there's a couple different things going on here. I think you all probably can remember in the meetings that we do have, we always say one of the most important things we're trying to help you figure out, at least from a planning standpoint, is what do you spend? Because what you spend today will directly relate to what we expect you to spend in retirement. And we don't want there to be any surprises, right? So we don't want you to say, oh, look, I spend $100,000 a year, when in actuality you're spending $175,000 a year. That could spell big trouble if now you go to retire and essentially we've been planning for you to only need 100, and in fact you need 175. So to help you with that, essentially what the website will allow you to do is track all of your expenditures. So much like a mint.com or a Quicken, if you navigate to Tools and then here to Wealth Access, you have the ability to add in all of your outside accounts, but specifically a checking and a credit card account. So to do that, you would essentially come here to Manage Accounts, Okay, so I'll go back. You're on Tools, Wealth Access. You can see the accounts already linked to your profile. Those are the ones that you would have with us. If there's any other account that has a login credential, you can pull it in here. So you go to Manage Accounts, and then what you would do is you would click this blue button that says Add Accounts. Anywhere where you see blue in this screen, it means that there's an action item. And let's say you had an account at Wells Fargo. So you could type in Wells Fargo, and you can see here that, let's see, you would click on wellsfargo.com, type in your username and password here. Now, this is the username and password for that specific site, and you can click Submit, and that data will pull through. So you can do that for your credit cards, your checking accounts, maybe any accounts that you have outside of Thrive, your 529 plans, anything that you're interested in having being pulled in to this website to track, you can put there. We've also been recommending that even if you have credit cards that you're not using, to go ahead and link those as well, because if you are using this site on a regular basis, you'll be able to see if there's any unauthorized activity. So once those accounts are linked, at least from a spending standpoint, you can go back here and then click Cash Flow. And on your site, once you have your credit card linked or your checking account, all of your transaction data will pull into the site. And I would say that it's about 70% of your transactions will be auto-categorized correctly. And what will happen is over time, you can go in and manipulate the categorizations of certain expenses. And the system will start to learn what that behavior is and auto-categorize for you. Things that it won't know what or how to categorize, rather, would be any checks that you're writing. So you'll see a check, maybe check number 123 for $500. That's the only thing that'll show up. So for something a little more manual than that, you'll be able to see exactly where you can go in and then change that categorization. The idea is if we can get a general sense of what you're spending, all of that will tie right back into your financial planning. And there does come a limit of the amount of information we really want to see. You actually have the ability to shut down the transaction level detail and then just be able to provide us a report. So if we said, John, how much did you spend last year? You could say, I spent 125. We're not so much interested in knowing where that 125 was spent and specifically on what. So there are some privacy settings within the system where you could say, I spent $10,000 on entertainment. That's good enough for us. We don't actually need to know what that entertainment was. Okay? But under Overview, you'll be able to see all of your spending. All the transactions will come in here as well. When you click back to Home, other assets that you might want to include in this report would be your home. So you can manually enter assets as well. Say, obviously your home doesn't have a login credential, but what you could do is go ahead and put in home, and then let's see here. Put in your address, and you can see that the system's automatically searching for your home address. And then what you can do is click this button, and if Zillow has a record of your home, it will actually pull the value in. And so every time that your home value is updated on Zillow, it'll pull in right here to the website, and we'd say, okay, that's my primary residence. And for those of you that have multiple residences, you can enter them here as well. Or business interest, that's a great place to use manual accounts and add a value there. So you'll essentially hit next. Next, we'll finish all that. And now you can see that my net worth statement also includes my home. You can add your mortgage here as well, because if you have a home, there's a good chance you also have a mortgage to go along with it. And the whole idea is that you're starting to build out your personal financial profile. Okay. Other things that you can do here is really track your net worth. You can do that by changing the dates. You can do it for this month, the last 3 months, year to date, and so forth. You can look at it total net worth or by individual accounts. If you wanted to remove an individual account, you can go ahead and click these buttons here, and you can see that they're removed, or you can add them back. And then finally, under tools, there's also what's called the RMD dashboard. So for those of you that are over 70 and a half and are interested to know how much do you need to take from a withdrawal for your um, IRAs or even a 401k, all that detail will be listed here as long as it's being pulled into the system. So the account would show up here under accounts. The amount of the RMD, the required distribution, would be listed here. The remaining amount, so maybe you've only taken a partial distribution, that'll be listed. And then a box, either a red box to say your RMD has not been satisfied, or a green check to say that it has been satisfied. And not only for those of you that are 70 and a half, but for anybody that has an inherited IRA, that would also be included on this page as well. Okay. So I'll go right back to where we started from. That essentially is the website. Again, the purpose of today's call was not to make you an expert, but really to introduce you to the functionality of the site, to give you a high-level overview. It's our plan that as we start adding more features to the website, to continue to hold these training webinars. We will also review these in all of your annual review meetings. We'll make that part of the agenda. And then certainly if you have any questions as you're working through the site, or maybe you're looking at something and it doesn't make sense, please let us know. If there's some type of data there that you think that actually just doesn't look right, please let us know and we'll make sure that it is reporting everything correctly in the way that it should be. And then you know where to find us as well. Let me see here. Let's see if there are any questions. Again, if you have any questions, go ahead and enter them in the box on your control panel. Okay. I actually see that there are no questions. At this point, what we'll do is we'll end the webinar. If you have any questions, again, please give the office a call. And we hope that you found today's session helpful. And we look forward to speaking with you soon. Take care.